Hiya! Welcome to another video from Starla's Art Studio. So, I decided to make another video about drawing some characters based off something. But for this video, instead of doing food, I got inspired by computer programs. I was just randomly inspired by some programs that I use, like Photoshop, PowerPoint. Okay, so to just jump into it, this first one is based on the program that I use to draw. I get this question quite a bit, so I might as well answer it right now. The program that I currently use is Photoshop CS6. So since this character's design is based on Photoshop, I was thinking about how it is a photo editing software. And since a lot of people use it like professionally and unprofessionally for editing images, I wanted to go with that idea for this character being really popular, as Photoshop is very well known, and it's often used for like removing things from an image or making someone in a picture look more appealing, maybe for marketing purposes or something like that. So with that in mind, I wanted her to seem popular and feeling all perfect and fabulous. At first, I was somewhat tied between drawing her on the more creative side of Photoshop, like drawing, which is what I use it for, but because I don't think Photoshop was created primarily for drawing, based on some of its functions and its name, I chose to lean more towards this side. I kinda had fun with her face, giving her a, yeah, I'm all that kinda look. I overall just wanted her to seem very narcissistic and without a care in the world. After I drew her, I kinda noticed her face reminds me of the Lemon Girl, with that sour face of hers. I thought it was a funny way to give her that expression. I tried giving her a lot of elements in her design and outfit to try and make her seem like she just craves attention, but will pretend she doesn't want it. I think Photoshop is, well, never mind. I was gonna say that I think it's the only program I've ever really drawn in, but after thinking about it, that's not really true. And honestly, I've always loved drawing and art in general so much. I would draw on anything I could. When it wasn't digitally, I would draw on paper and notebooks, sand, on a chalkboard, whiteboard, erasers, on a fogged up window or mirror in a steamy room, on napkins in restaurants, all kind of stuff. I remember in restaurants when they give those cute little kids menus with all those little activities and things on them. I mean, I would sometimes do them, but other times it would just be like, nope, forget this, I'm gonna draw my own stuff. So I did. I drew on and with almost anything as a small child. When I did anything artsy on a computer, it used to be on a bunch of things. Sometimes I would use Microsoft Paint when I was really small. Other times it was just any website with a little drawing game on it. Well, those were the days of childhood. Well, I'm actually not far from those days, really. But anyways, basically I was pretty in love with drawing and I still am. I remember when I used to go places. I used to customize everything and technically label them as mine when I would just draw on all my stuff. The sharpened wood parts of my pencils would have little smileys on them. I would draw a little anime-looking girl on both sides of my gummy erasers. I would use a marker to draw my water bottles, and even a binder full of my drawings that I would carry around had a plastic covering in the front, and I drew a picture and put it in there as a label for it too. It was everywhere. Okay, so she's pretty much done. I quite liked this one, though I didn't mean to make her face look quite so squishy, but she looks nice along with those little sparkles. Okay, so this next one is another quite commonly used program that I use a lot for things like essays and notes and lists. This program is Microsoft Word. So to make this into a character, I wanted to make her design to include some elements from the program and what it can be used for instead of just the logo. I also wanted her design to seem like she was your assistant, like how Alexa or Siri would work. You just click or tap or call her and she'll just pop up and help you with whatever you're writing. She could tell you when you misspell something or if you use the wrong word, or just give you a synonym for a word in an essay. I wanted her to have an almost secretary or teacher kind of look, with wide glasses and a serious expression, the kind that would be friendly but quite straightforward with you and somewhat strict, since the actual program doesn't really try to be nice when correcting you. It's just like, nope, stop, doing this wrong. So I'm just gonna leave this bright red little squiggly here until you decide to fix it. So with that in mind, I wanted her to seem more serious than the last one. I also wanted to draw her as if she was in the middle of helping someone with their word choice. So I wanted it to look like she was explaining something while giving the user a list of synonyms for a random word that I chose at the time, big. So with her outfit, I did the top half to look like the logo, while the bottom half looks like a paper that has notes on it. Because there's a lot of typing that happens in Word, I wanted to put the little I-beam, or I-shaped symbol that blinks when you can type somewhere. So I put 2 on her ears as earrings, and had her holding one in one hand. In her other hand, I had it out with her palm up, bringing out a little drop-down menu with some synonyms. As many people do, I like using Word for writing and stories. I never really minded writing essays. I could do a few pages in some hours, especially narratives. I've always loved telling stories. I especially love describing things. I remember on multiple occasions I ended up writing essays twice as long as they needed to be, so I had to summarize and cut back on a lot of extra info. I also remember I liked grammar. I remember one year I was getting ready for an English exam for the end of the year, so I studied for hours and hours until I was sure I knew everything for that test. I remember trotting my way into that room with a couple of number 2 pencils clenched in my fists, ready to take on that test. Though, I was kind of surprised when there were like little to no questions about grammar, so that made me a little sad. But at least I know stuff like how to use good and well, so that's nice. I'm personally quite glad I was born in an age where I could just type out most of my assignments. In my opinion, it feels much faster than writing, and teachers don't have to worry about those markings left behind from a student erasing, or messy handwriting. It looks quite neat without all that. Anyways, for the coloring and details, I wanted to do the cinnamon box to look clean and neat, so I just added regular text for that. For the colors, I did the same thing that I did for the Photoshop girl, where I just sampled the colors from the logo and changed the saturation or shade for a few more color options. I also did the shading pretty similar by adding some bluish purples to add some warmth to her. She's quite blue. Both the first and second one are quite blue. I like drawing these two though. It was nice making a picture with just 1 or 2 colors. I don't do many monochromatic colors because I like using color schemes, or 2 or 3 colors. I like experimenting with more saturated or pastel colors. I'm still trying to figure out which one I like the most, but I guess that's what's fun about being an artist. I don't have to use specifically just one set of colors, but it is nice to have a theme in my drawings. Well, here's a completed drawing. I really liked how she came out. I was trying out a few different ways to add detail in here, and I think it came out pretty well. What do you guys think? Okay, so here's the third and last one for this video. This next one is a program that I like to use for most of my scripts and random notes. This program is a simple little notepad. I wanted to do another program that I use pretty often, so I chose a notepad. So for her design, because the program is small, I chose to make her a little child. I wanted to include the icon more in her outfit than what I did for the first one. So while I was drawing her, I had the vision of giving her a dress and make it into the shape of the notepad. I also wanted to give her a hat that looks like the top of it. I drew her hair to look somewhat flat and straight to be like paper. I wanted to draw her to seem like a really energetic child who just wants to be there for you to help you out any way she can, even if she can't do much. I was thinking that since larger programs usually take longer to come up because they have a lot of functions and are much bigger, I thought of making her a younger little program who, even though she won't be able to do as much, she comes up quickly to help with what she can. While I was drawing her, I was also trying out a slightly different way to proportion her body by making her arms go from skinny to wide as I got to her hands. I did like giving her quite a round head and a little cheery expression. I really like to experiment with a lot of things when I draw. I think a bit too much. I know since I started this channel, my style has definitely changed. So I've drawn my little character so many times, she looks pretty different every other time you see her. Though I am getting closer to my own style and having a standard way of drawing, I think it's pretty good to experiment with your art and try out different art styles to see what fits you and how you like to draw. For the coloring, just like for the last two, I sampled the colors from the logo. I really liked working with these colors. I'm trying out using lower saturated colors for my drawings, and I quite like the more pastel look. I messed around with the coloring in her hair to make it look like the notepad, with the front being her bangs, the lighter paper as most of her hair, and the back of her hair like the back of the notepad. I also put little rings on her hat to make it look more like a notepad. I often shade with red for my characters to bring some life or warmth into them, though I do want to try experimenting with other shading colors. I know blues and purples can give things a colder feel, like when shading a cave or a darker room, or maybe underwater. Things like reds and oranges and yellows can really bring warmth or life to a character. Though it does look very nice when someone can combine colors like oranges, blues, purples, pinks, to make a very nice scene like a vibrant sunset. So magical. Well, she's pretty much done. I really enjoyed drawing this one. They all took a while, but I'm pretty happy with how they came out. And just like with most of my other drawings, I'll be posting them on Instagram, and I'm also on Twitter at Starla. All the links are in the description. I've been using Twitter a lot for updates and random drawings that I may not be able to post on Instagram or when I'm not able to work on a video, so you can go follow me on there. But yeah, here are all the programs. I hope you enjoyed the video, and just like with the last video, there are many people who still drew my Miracle Fruit Fairy and Ice Cream Girl, so the only thing left is to show you all the art. Hope you all have a stellar day. Bye!